I went home with my boyfriend Chad for Lunar Year to meet his childhood buddies. I can't hold my liquor, so I slumped over the table, but I accidentally overheard Chad talking with his best friend. Your first love Aurora flew back for the holiday. Word is she's staying for good. So what happens to the stand-in girlfriend you've been using to get over her? Chad made up his mind fast. Dumping someone during the festival is bad luck. I'll wait until the 7th day, then break up with her, just in time for Aurora's birthday so I can propose. His words snapped the last thread of hope I was clinging to. I excused myself to the restroom and called Adrian. The betrothal contract is still on. I'll marry you, but I want to pick one of your groomsmen. Adrian agreed without hesitation. Name him. Your nephew, Chad. Before we go on, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're streaming from. I hung up, splashed cold water on my face, forced myself calm, and then steadied myself against the wall as I walked back toward the private room. Just outside the door, about to push it open, I heard a woman's voice and my heart lurched. Chad, I've been gone 3 years, didn't you miss me at all? Chad's white moonlight ex, Aurora herself, had shown up. Chad stayed silent. Instead his buddy Chad laughed and played peacemaker. Aurora, if he didn't miss you, why would I have called to get you here? He'd barely learned she was back before summoning her. Her place in his heart was obvious. My own heart turned to ice. In a languid, coquettish tone she demanded, but I heard you have a girlfriend and you're taking her to meet your parents this holiday. Chad started to answer, but fast-mouthed Chad cut him off. Oh please, a stand-in can't compare to the real thing. The second you came back he lost all interest in parading the substitute in front of the family. He's already planning the breakup. Chad's voice was soft and earnest. Aurora, every single day you were gone I though. Of you. Let's get back together. So what were the last 3 years with me? Worthless, apparently, just something to dull his ache for her? Hurt dissolved into fury, my weak hands clenched so hard the knuckles went white. I fought the urge to barge in and kept listening. Aurora's voice cracked. I want to be with you, too, but your family won't allow it, especially that Adrian. Chad lowered his voice. Aurora, I've got the perfect plan. I'll use Vivian as your stand-in for the meet the parents dinner, then switch you in on the wedding day. Their words sent a chill all the way to my bones, cold sweat dotted my palms. I wasn't just a stand-in, I was now their smokescreen as well. Chad, do you even own a heart? I realized at once why he was desperate to reconcile with Aurora and marry her. Love was only part of it. He'd once told me grandfather said whoever brought home a wife of equal status first could fight Adrian for control of Sterling. And I, secret heiress to the apex fortune, kept turning Adrian's proposals down. So if Chad married before Adrian, grandfather would hand him the entire inheritance. Chad, you calculated beautifully. Wasn't it you who swore you'd give up everything for me and live an ordinary life? The moment Aurora returned, every promise evaporated, didn't it? Just you wait, you'll regret this. I pushed the door open. Aurora and Chad sprang apart, startled, then released each other like they'd been burned. To paper over the awkwardness, Chad gave a sheepish grin. This is my friend, Aurora. Then, eyes apologetic on her, he pointed at me. And this is my girlfriend, Vivian. They acted as if his scheme were already settled and slipped back into fake friendliness. Aurora raised a brow, voice lilting. Hi, Vivian. Chad said you look like me and I didn't believe it, but wow, we could be twins. She looped her arm through mine in syrupy affection and cooed at Chad. You sure know how to pick 'em. Was she praising herself through me? I pressed my lips together, swallowing the bile in my throat, and said to Chad, I drank too much, I'd like to go home. Chad shot Chad a covert look. He clearly didn't want to leave, not with Aurora still there. Vivian, Chad and I haven't seen each other in ages. My driver can take you home, and we'll catch up a bit longer. I nodded and spun away, fast. Behind me Aurora trilled, Sterling just loves a gracious girl. Another second in there and I'd have scratched both their smug faces. At dawn Chad came in. I was putting on makeup. The heavy perfume on him made me cough. I turned away, pretending not to see the hickey he'd tried to hide under his collar. He stopped beside my mirror and gently cradled my face. Vivian, today you're meeting my parents. Mom's picky, so look stunning. Your eyes are gorgeous, but something's missing this morning. I smiled coldly. What's that? A beauty mark. Instantly I pictured Aurora's face. The only difference between us is the tiny mole at the corner of her eye. Before, I would have obeyed. Today I kept slicking on lipstick, voice flat. A mole there is bad luck. I'm fine as I am. Chad opened his mouth, then shut it. When we reached the Sterling gate, he warned me, Mom rules the roost and she's proud. Just agree with everything she says. Our only goal is to get approval for the wedding. Got it? I didn't answer. I walked straight into the Sterling mansion. His parents occupied the formal living room thrones. They nodded at me like granting an audience. Then Sterling began interrogating me. So you're Chad's girlfriend? He tells me your folks run some little mom-and-pop business? I nodded politely. Yes, ma'am. I'd never revealed my real identity to Chad. You're his type, sure, but your background's worthless to Sterling. Heiresses have trampled our doorstep and I turned everyone away. Why should you marry him? Chad blurted. Mom, I cut him off, voice rising slightly. You're right, Sterling. I'm not good enough for Chad. So I came today to recap with him. Breakup? Vivian, are you insane? Chad leaped off the sofa, his parents' expressions curdled. Huh, dump my son? Who do you think you are? Get out of my Sterling house right now. Lunar year and already bad luck. Chad glowered, gripping my arm and dragging me outside. His parents' fury felt wonderful. The madder they got, the freer I became. I refused to be his pawn. Vivian, you'd better explain why you're dumping me. He blocked my path, face white with rage. I lifted a shoulder. Because I'm not worthy of you. Bull. You knew exactly who I was when we started dating. Suddenly you're not good enough? A light seemed to click. You've been weird since last night. This is about Aurora, isn't it? Hearing her name, I rolled my eyes. Aurora is the Aurora heiress. We were joking that you two look alike. She didn't freak out, so why should you? He actually believed that was the reason. I couldn't be bothered to correct him. You should be flattered. Apart from your face, everything about you is mediocre. Mediocre? I almost laughed. If he ever learned I was the apex heiress, he'd swallow the word mediocre along with his tears. Right, I'm mediocre, so I'm insecure and unworthy of the lofty Sterlings. He stared, incredulous. You dare break up with me knowing that? Vivian, without me you'll never touch this level of wealth again. I'm offering you a ticket into high society. Apologize to my parents and we're back to perfect. I wrenched free and stepped back. Forget it. I'm not worthy. Chad's eyes blazed. Vivian, walk away and no man half as good as me will ever want you. Oh? I turned around, smiled at him, and answered, then you'd better remember every word you said today. Then, still smiling, I spun on my heel and sauntered off. That night, while I packed my suitcases, Chad called me again and again, but he never once came back to see me. Annoyed, I finally hit accept. Vivian, I was too harsh this afternoon. Don't be mad, okay? I know my Emily's lifestyle can feel intimidating, and I should have considered your feelings first. But it's fine, I've already talked my parents around. They're willing to give you another chance. I was snipping our photos in half with scissors, one by one, as though I were erasing my criminal record. I answered lazily, appreciate the thought, but I'll leave the opportunity to someone who's actually ready for it. Chad refused to give up. By the way, Adrian suddenly ordered me to attend his wedding on the 7th. His word is law in the business world, even my parents jump when he snaps. If you won't meet mine, come with me to meet him. Once he approves, nothing else matters. I arched a brow and changed the subject. Who's the bride? Chad replied hastily, Adrian keeps his mouth shut, the marriage came out of nowhere. I've no clue who she is. But it definitely isn't the missing heiress of the Apex family, that's for sure. I'd told Adrian to keep my identity under wraps, I hate fuss, and Adrian keeps his promises. So, you'll come? Chad asked cautiously. Right then I heard a woman's voice leak through the phone. Chad, well? Did she say yes? It was Aurora. Chad hung up instantly. The next morning, just as I was about to leave, Aurora cornered me outside my front door. She was dressed to the nines, preening like a peacock flaunting its tail, yet her expression was pitiful, all tears and grievance. The moment she stepped inside she whimpered, Vivian, please don't be angry with me, okay? I was baffled. What act was she pulling now? I know you broke up with Chad because you saw us hugging, but honestly there's nothing between us. Don't get the wrong idea. So the White Lotus routine was on. Her goal, have me forgive Chad, show up for the meet the parents dinner, and marry him so they can swap brides under the table. I kept my face stony and took a step back. Stop the act. She froze. I kept going, poking holes in her performance. You're Chad's unreachable first love, the any he can't forget. I'm the nobody he looks down on. So I'm stepping aside voluntarily. You two lovebirds can fly off into the sunset together. You. She jabbed a finger at me, too flustered to curse, because everything I'd said was true. Then her lips twisted into a nasty grin, she dropped the mask. Fine. Since you get it, I'll stop pretending. You'll meet Chad's parents in my place and sign the marriage certificate. On the wedding day, you simply vanish. We'll pay you $5 million, more than a girl of your background could earn in a lifetime, right? 5 million? I laughed. My allowance in college had been bigger than that. And she had the nerve to flaunt it. Sorry, not interested. Aurora sneered, voice shrill. Vivian, who do you think you're fooling with this hard-to-get act? You believe if you struggle a bit you'll win Chad's heart? Dream on. Take it now or it disappears. Don't feed me pure love cliches. With that face that looks like mine, you'll never win Chad's true love, ever. Fury shot through me. I shoved her hard. Her stiletto skidded and she crashed into the corner. Excuse me, you're blocking my exit. Her face twisted. Snarling, she scrambled up to retaliate. I clattered downstairs dragging my suitcase. Our chauffeur had waited forever. I was in a hurry to get home and try on my wedding gown. The instant I slid into the car, Aurora burst out of the building, shrieking at the wrong direction. Aurora, you'll regret this. As long as I'm around, Chad will never spare you a single glance. Never once did it cross her mind that the luxury sedan idling in front of her was mine. I told the driver to floor it. Mud and slush splashed all over her as we sped away. On my wedding day, the 7th, every heavyweight outlet in the city showed up to livestream. After all, Adrian's move to marry me was so over-the-top netizens were calling it the ultimate Riverdale power match. While a team of makeup artists circled me, I got another text from C. Had. Vivian, my offer still stands. Turn around and we still have a chance. I gave a thin, mocking smile and deleted it. On the TV beside me, Adrian adjusted his cufflinks, radiant, while at the tail end of his groomsmen stood Chad, face like thunder. Only today had Chad learned that the bride was the apex heiress he'd been contractually betrothed to since childhood, who'd vanished for years. Aurora had been expressly banned from the ceremony by Adrian. Chad could only swallow his rage. He held zero weight in sterling. Adrian's voice echoed from downstairs. The stylist hurried to drape the veil over my face, blotting out the world. Time to leave, the groom's here. My vision blurred. After 2 steps I was swept into the air. Adrian's whisper brushed my ear. My wife doesn't walk, I carry her. He cradled me against his chest and strode out, steady as bedrock. Behind us, cameras clicked non-stop. The only regret for the press was that my curious face stayed hidden. Chad's jealous drawl carried over. Adrian, don't be stingy, let us get a peek at our new aunt. Adrian's arms tightened. With deliberate meaning he replied, I'm afraid if you looked, you'd lose your soul. A sudden gust flipped the sheer veil upward, and for a single heartbeat Chad saw me. One glimpse, and his smug grin drained to paper white. Chad stood rooted, fists clenched, watching Adrian smooth the veil back and drop a feather-light kiss on my forehead. Amid cheers and confetti, Adrian loaded me into the car. In the back seat he laced our fingers and never let go. Chad still staring, he murmured. I leaned on his shoulder. Oh, I said softly. We're done. Don't mention him again. Adrian's chest rose rapidly, unable to hold back. He pressed a burning kiss to my cheek. Yes, ma'am. Gently he stroked my face, over and over. I know what Aurora tried to pull. Need me to settle the score? I covered his mouth. It's our wedding day, talk crazy later. Since when does Vivian swallow a loss? I might have choked down a silent heartbreak, but I'd have my payback soon enough. While I touched up my makeup in the ballroom's bridal suite, Chad burst in. Wild-eyed, he grabbed my wrist so hard it throbbed. What do you think you're doing? I wrenched free and spat, that line belongs to me. You cast me as Aurora's stand-in from day one. You never asked about my family, my past, anything. All you cared about was how much my face resembled hers. Chad's anger still crackled, but the accusation left him speechless. He could only mutter, that's not how it was. Didn't you want Aurora? I'm giving you exactly that, go be with her, no more obstacles. Now back off, we're nothing to each other. His eyes were bloodshot, my last sentence made his cheek twitch. Vivian, we haven't broken up. You're still my girlfriend. Hearing that, I wondered if he'd lost his mind. I didn't bother arguing. Fine, consider us broken up this very second. And don't call me Vivian anymore. From now on, address me as Aunt Vivian. I touched up my lipstick, brushed past his rigid shoulder, and slipped out before he could grab my hem. Anything else? No? Then I have a wedding to finish. Closing the door behind me, I breathed in the sweetest air since lunar year. Slowly, to the rhythm of music and lights, I walked toward Adrian waiting ahead. Step by step, unshakable. Out of the corner of my eye I spotted Chad sitting below the wedding stage, his face the color of cold ash, gaze fixed on me like a hawk that has sighted prey. Opposite him sat a woman in a mask, sunglasses, and a hat. The disguise screamed guilty conscience. Anyone could tell it was Aurora. When she whipped off her sunglasses and stared at my veiled face, disbelief froze her features. She never imagined that the woman she'd called worthless could stand on a height she herself could never reach. The billionaire heiress. Adrian stepped into the dazzling lights and took my hand, folding it securely in his. Then, on stage, he dropped to one knee and solemnly produced a velvet ring box from his jacket pocket. The instant he opened it, my pupils contracted and I clapped a hand over my gaping mouth. It was the 10-carat heart of eternity I'd coveted for months. From the first moment I saw it I'd been entranced. Somehow Adrian had read my mind and bought it. Vivian, will you marry me? For this life and the next, never to part. I swallowed my thrill and shouted toward Chad and Aurora, only you are worthy of me. I will. Chad's wineglass slipped and shattered on the floor. The clatter was swallowed by roaring applause. Adrian slid the diamond onto my finger and pulled me into his broad, warm embrace. He whispered against my ear, Vivian, I've waited so many years for you. You're finally mine. I will make you happy, I swear. Curled against his chest, feeling his racing heart and the slight tremor in his body, I knew he meant every word. For the final ritual I was to toss the bridal bouquet. Aurora yanked at Chad like a maniac, but he stubbornly refused to step forward. Finally she gritted her teeth, rushed on stage, and joined the scrum. I gave a soft laugh, walked straight up to her, and placed the bouquet in her arms. May you and Chad be happy. You should thank heaven you look 8/10 like me, it's your blessing. Perhaps that last barb stung. Aurora lifted her chin like a peacock in full display, eyes cold with contempt. You married Adrian just to punish Chad, didn't you? Tell me, if I inform Adrian you were his nephew's woman, do you think a man that ruthless will let you off? The MC suddenly cut into our low, gunpowder-laced exchange. Wow, hasn't anyone noticed? The lady holding the bouquet looks exactly like our bride. Do you two share some special connection? The moment the question left his lips, Chad frantically signaled him to stop. The word stand-in hovered on Aurora's tongue. But Adrian stepped to my side, microphone in hand, and curved an arm around my shoulders. My wife is one of a kind, she is herself, and she resembles no one. Nor do I wish to see anyone exploit my wife's face for anything immoral. Though spoken to the guests, his lethal stare drilled into Chad below and Aurora beside me. Aurora's face darkened on the spot. Chad bounded up and dragged her down. Let go. She's the one who should feel guilty. Chad hissed, want to humiliate yourself further? You know Adrian protects his own, he'll do anything for the people he cares about. Have you forgotten why you were shipped abroad? Aurora's exile had something to do with Adrian? I still had no answer. Why did Adrian detest Aurora so deeply? She came from money, marrying her would have benefited Sterling. But this was my wedding, I had no energy to puzzle over other people's dramas. Adrian had just defended me from behind, that was enough for now. That night, alone with Adrian for the first time, I was jittery. He carried a glass of red wine to me, the scent of alcohol heavy on him. He'd clearly enjoyed himself, he'd toasted non-stop. Vivian, what are you thinking? I'm wondering how on earth we ended up with a betrothal contract. My father sheltered me so well almost no one knew my real identity. Surely you didn't marry me just for what my family can give you. He chuckled low, voice a husky rasp. The Sue and Moo families have been friends for 3 generations. My father had me late, he feared he wouldn't live to see me wed, so he arranged a baby betrothal with your parents. I clicked my tongue. I'm an entire generation younger than you. This is classic robbing the cradle. He feigned hurt. We're only 4 years apart. Adrian rested his chin on my shoulder, breath hot. Though we didn't grow up together, I heard your name so often I grew curious. I'd sneak to campus to peek at the girl I was supposed to marry. Elementary, middle school, college, every milestone of your life, I was there. You just never saw me. No wonder the day I graduated Adrian eyed at the gate, flowers in hand. He stood out like a crane in a chicken coop, unfairly handsome. He offered the bouquet. Vivian, I want to marry you. Back then I thought he was nuts. Only when I got home did Mom confirm the betrothal, graduate, then marry Adrian. I felt the sky fall. He was gorgeous, but I wanted to forge my own path, not hide behind family prestige. So the next time he found me I flat out said, I don't like you, I want freedom. Adrian was silent a moment, then answered, all right, I'll wait. Later I met Chad. A year into that relationship Adrian sought me out again. Vivian, Chad is my nephew. Between us, you can only choose one. Without hesitation, I choose Chad, our betrothal is void. He said, I'll give you 2 more years, the contract stays. If you still want to marry Chad, then we're finished. Deal? Suddenly something clicked. I spun and stared into his eyes. Did you engineer Aurora's return? Adrian's normally razor-sharp eyes flicked away. Can't say I did. Her passport expired and her thesis was stuck, so she had to come back. I rolled my eyes hard. No wonder you asked me to wait 2 years, you'd calculated everything. And her going abroad? Was that you too? I needed to know. Adrian sniffed. That woman doesn't deserve to enter the Moo family, vain, fickle. While dating Chad, she kept claiming she was single. She was angling for someone richer than Chad. So that was it. To spare Chad pain, Adrian hid the truth. He simply said he disliked her. Are you angry? Do you regret marrying me? Looking at his cautious face, I rose on tiptoe and answered with a kiss. I don't regret it. But Chad, it seemed, did. On the 3rd day of our marriage, Adrian's older brother, Chad's parents, invited us to the mansion. Stepping into Sterling again a few days later felt like entering a different universe. The moment we crossed the threshold, Chad's mother latched onto my hand. Oh, the apex heiress we've heard so much about. Yet we never met until N. Ow. Fate is deep, you and Adrian found each other after all. I smiled down, waving modestly. When Chad brought me for the meet the parents' dinner, they hadn't even bothered to remember my face. You have met me. You called me Jinx, bad luck, too lowborn for the Sterling gates. Chad's parents froze, raking my features. Then their expressions collapsed. They jerked their hands away, smiles evaporating. Adrian, how could you marry this woman? She tangled with our son, came begging us to bless their marriage. She's a fraud. Shameless, she tricked our Chad and now she's tricked you. Sterling's father was so furious he couldn't even catch his breath. He lifted the teacup in his hand and hurled it right at my head. You're the little vixen who's had my son wandering around in a daze? I'll beat you to death, you homewrecker. I spread my hands and stood my ground. But the cup never landed. A thunderous roar cracked above me. Enough. Adrian was furious. Sterling's parents snapped back onto the sofa like puppets with their strings yanked, not daring to make a sound. Just then, Sterling strode in, Aurora on his heels, still clinging and complaining. Sterling, why are you suddenly so cold to me? What's wrong with you? Just tell me. Sterling's face was black with rage, yet the moment he saw me his eyes lit up. Vivian? Try Aunt Vivian, I corrected sweetly. Have you no manners at all? Been too busy sweet-talking girls to remember basic courtesy? A snort escaped Adrian behind me, he couldn't hold it in. Sterling stared at me, stammering. The words Aunt Vivian simply would not leave his mouth. Aurora rushed in, spotted me, froze for a second, then shrieked, pointing at my nose, how dare you show your face in Sterling's house? Adrian stepped between us, shielding me, and glared past Sterling's shoulder at Aurora. Shouldn't that line be mine? Aurora's face turned mottled green and red. She retreated 2 frightened steps, then suddenly found her courage and planted herself in front of Adrian. President Sterling, this woman dated Sterling for 3 years. She isn't marrying you out of love, she's doing it to get back at him. Sterling's eyes glazed with tears, his voice cracked. Is that true, Vivian? Adrian answered before I could. I already know everything she just said. Sterling froze, his expression crumbling. What? Adrian knew? Disbelief twisted into fury. Do you even realize you're the other man? Vivian and I never broke up. When you married her, we were still together. Adrian's arm slid around my shoulders, he looked down at me with quiet devotion. Whatever her past, it never mattered to me. Right now she is my wife, and I won't allow anyone to speak of her lightly. I nodded in agreement. Besides, the moment you chose Aurora, you silently agreed we were finished, didn't you? Then Adrian's gaze sharpened on Aurora, his voice turning icy. All right, Vivian has told you what you wanted to hear. Is there anything you haven't told us? Aurora's face flushed scarlet, then drained white, then flamed again. She twisted her fingers, utterly at a loss. I didn't do anything. You got Sterling drunk on purpose while you two were together, then sneaked into my room, didn't you? What? So that was why Adrian had hounded Aurora until she fled the country? My jaw dropped. I spun around to stare at the face that drove half the female population wild. He'd given me only a hazy outline that night. Today's showdown was the real bombshell. I glanced at Sterling, who stood blankly to one side as if his brain had crashed. Aurora hid her face, sobbing and shaking her head. No. Sterling, I didn't. Adrian seduced me. He said I looked like the woman he could never have. Adrian's lips curved in a dangerously amused smile, her counter-cushion didn't faze him in the least. A man as calculating as he would never confess in front of me unless nothing had actually happened, plus he already held proof she'd broken in. I zeroed in on Aurora's last sentence. The woman he could never have? And Aurora looked like me? So, in a bizarre full circle, she had ended up my stand-in. I burst out laughing, finger pointed at her. See? I told you looking like me is your lucky break. Sterling's parents wailed and pounded on their son. Why get entangled with a creature like her? Adrian helped you, you should thank him. Sterling looked possessed. Thank him? Haha. He stole my woman. He snatched my sterling inheritance. He destroyed everything. I won't obey him any longer, whatever he forbids, I'll do. Adrian, one day I'll make you kneel and apologize while I'm on top of the world. Then he strode to Aurora, crouched in the corner, dropped to one knee and pulled a ring from his pocket. Aurora, marry me, will you? Tears streaming, Aurora dabbed her eyes as if in defiance of us all and nodded instantly. Yes, I will. Adrian watched, then let out a long sigh. All he said was, Sterling, you'll regret this. He took my hand and led me out of the mansion. Sterling's parents, upset with Adrian, quietly shut the Sterling door behind us. What are you going to do? I asked. He gave a bitter laugh. What can I do? Respect and bless them, I suppose. Sterling and I practically grew up together. Whenever he messed up, I cleaned it up. Now it's time he learned to face the consequences himself. I pressed my lips together and leaned into his arms. Fate sure has a twisted sense of humor. A few days later, I opened the financial and read that Sterling was splitting. Sterling's parents had voluntarily withdrawn every share and poured their money into Aurora, an alliance cemented by marriage. The blow to Adrian's control of Sterling was massive. Yet Adrian showed no real reaction. He simply worked and then spent the rest of his time wrapped around me. A week after that, the internet lit up with trending tabloid headlines. Gold digger Vivian's love-hate triangle with Sterling's uncle and nephew. Adrian steals his own nep. Hughes girl, real men don't do that. **** Princess Aurora weds Sterling. Inside the society wedding of the century, I didn't even have to open my eyes to know Aurora had bought those spots. She robocalled me from rotating numbers to brag about how blissful she and Sterling were, how much he loved her, until I changed my number and the harassment finally stopped. The truth speaks for itself. I refused to justify myself and kept shopping and brunching with Adrian in our little two-person world. Then Aurora appeared in front of us like a madwoman, nothing left of the poised heiress she once pretended to be. Vivian, it's all your fault, Sterling just dumped me. Happy now? You were only ever my stand-in, why can't you accept that and hand him back? I stared at her in disbelief. You dug your own grave and he left you, why come whining to me? Besides, the only thing we share is a passing resemblance. With the way you carry on, if I were actually like you I'd have thrown myself in the river by now. My barb hit home, Aurora shrieked and swung at my face. Adrian caught her wrist without even blinking, her slap frozen in midair. I seized the chance and landed several crisp slaps of my own. Blood trickled from both of Aurora's nostrils. My wife's had her fun, now get lost. Cross her again and I'll ship you overseas a second time. Clutching her swelling, pig-like face, Aurora slunk out of sight. I turned to Adrian. What just happened? He tapped his phone and showed me the headline, Aurora's capital chain snaps, bankruptcy proceedings begin. How did the mighty Aurora collapse so fast? Aurora's financials have smelled for months, he explained. My brother and Sterling lounged around the mansion and never read the reports. That's one big reason I blocked their engagement. They only stayed afloat this long because my brother and Sterling sank their entire nest egg into Aurora. So Sterling engineered his own downfall. Later Adrian asked, feel good? Consider revenge served. I nodded firmly. You deserve most of the credit. Expect a reward tonight. Adrian's face lit up with wicked, dazzling glee. No doubt about it, he'd pulled the trigger himself. Still, a pang of guilt lingered. Ever since Sterling knelt and proposed to Aurora, uncle and nephew hadn't spoken a word. I walked onto the balcony, wrapped my arms around Adrian's waist, and rested my cheek against his back. I'm sorry. I landed you in this awkward mess. His warm hand immediately covered mine. It's all right, I always knew this day would come. This time I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, I'd chosen exactly right. Thanks for listening to today's tale. If you enjoyed it, please like and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more riveting stories. See you next time.